Hello, BookTube. Almost forgot the day's mail. Can't do that when it's the first mail haul of the week, now can we? So we've got a few packages here. We'll see what we've got, see if there's anything squeal-worthy in this bunch. I've had a very, very, I know this will shock you, but I've had a very bookish Monday. Oh, okay. All right, very good. Okay. Okay, we start off with, to put it mildly, a Steve book. This is by William McKeever, and this is Emperors of the Deep, a new book on sharks. The subtitle is Sharks, the Ocean's Most Mysterious, Most Misunderstood, and Most Important Guardians. And this is all about, this is the 21st century's new kind of shark book. Necessitated by the 20th century's old kind of shark book, which was Jaws by Peter Benchley. That even though it clearly gave us an unrealistic storyline, a freakishly gigantic shark, a great white shark, that stays in one area even though there's no food, in a seemingly malevolent attempt to wipe out humans and to attack any human that goes in the water, that changed the psyche of the entire world, and is a huge impact for a book to have. And to his credit, Benchley spent most of the rest of his life trying to atone for it, trying to warn people that this is, that was an exaggerated plot device, and that sharks are actually drastically overfished. They're over-harvested in cruel, horrible ways. They're maimed and for their fins, and then the living bodies are thrown back in the ocean. And Benchley died before the problem took on the epic proportions that it has now. Sharks are virtually, all large sharks are virtually on the edge of extinction in the 21st century. And this book, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it right now. And it is the antidote to all of that. It's the familiar antidote to all of that. It will not only stress the incredibly long odds you have of ever getting anywhere near a shark, much less attacked by one, but also the huge damage that's being done to them as animals, that we're looking at very soon a world that doesn't have any of them, and what that would mean. So very happy to have this, very happy. Okay, we're off to a fine start. In fact, it can only be downhill from here, unless we've got 5 Bigfoot books. It can only be downhill from a book about sharks. Let's see here. Okay. All right, this one comes out in October. This is Enough is Enough by Michelle Rome McCann. The subtitle is How Students Can Join the Fight for Gun Safety. Young people are suffering the most from the rampant epidemic of gun violence. They are the ones crouching behind locked doors during active shooter drills, and in some schools starting as early as kindergarten. But teens have had enough. They want to get involved. They want to change the world. And this book features profiles of some of those students and other gun safety activists around the world. It's a study of America's history with gun violence and explores the myths and facts, causes and perpetrators, solutions and change makers in this destructive and horrifying trend. Okay, all right. Well, this comes out in October, so I won't read it right away. And I will read it, with my heart in my throat the whole time, because who knows how many thousands of Americans will be dead from mass shootings between now and October. Of course, students can't do anything about this, right? Activists can't do anything about this. Legislators can do something about this, and they're not going to because they're being paid not to. So I'm all for the sense of empowerment that comes with civic activity, but thousands of Americans are still going to die every month of guns until legislators do something about it. There is absolutely no constitutional protection. In my opinion, I think it's easy to see it's black letter law in the Constitution. I don't think there's any protection in the Constitution for an ordinary citizen to own a gun. Period. I don't care the weird alt-right shibboleths that are immediately activated by that statement. People saying, "Oh, the government will take over. It will take over." You really think the government's not in control of your life right now if you're an American? There's no hiding out like Jesse James up in the holler. You'd be black helicoptered out of there in about 45 minutes. I think the text is clear that unless you're a member of a militia, a well-ordered militia, you do not have a constitutionally protected right to own a gun. But even if I'm willing to grant that you do, you don't. You don't, absolutely. I'm saying for argument's sake, but you absolutely do not. The Constitution does not provide you that right. But even if it did, it doesn't provide you with the right to own a fully automatic assault weapon. Something that can fire hundreds of rounds per second. That has no legitimate purpose for self-defense, for hunting, for anything. The only thing it's for is war. It's for indiscriminately killing large numbers of people. And I don't think even the military should have authorization for such a thing anywhere outside of an active war zone. But civilians in Duluth who are 18, no, they certainly should not. But I mean, I'll read this with attention anyway. It sounds like the author knows a lot more about the subject than I do, so I'm bound to learn something. But I won't learn anything that changes the basic facts on the ground. The reason why this happens in America as opposed to anywhere else in the world is because of our gun laws. And the only people who can change those are Congress. And if you're a congressman, you're being given $2 million per election by the NRA, well, you can look at your election figures the same as anyone else can. You don't have to be a math whiz to see that without that $2 million, you wouldn't have your current job. So, but anyway, let's move on. Maybe something a little less controversial would be good. Okay, all right. Here is the finished copy of something we've seen already. This is going to be a trade paperback original in a couple of weeks from Soho Press, and it's by Chris Dennis. It's a collection of short stories called Here Is What You Do. And remember, we saw that we've got a fire that is composed of people. A yacht races to outrun a tsunami. A young man jailed on a drug charge forms a relationship with his cellmate that is both loving and savage. A teen raised by his out and proud father, a Turkish immigrant, is displaced after violence fractures his life, forever altering his sense of time and memory. And so on and so forth. Those are brief descriptions of the stories in this collection. It's a powerful, timely short story collection by a vital new voice in queer fiction. Dennis's debut is a bravura work of muscularly robust prose that captures the primal need, desire, cruelty, and promise of people trying to connect with and consume each other. And I've had this for a while, and I haven't got to it yet, so I need to now, because I am a huge fan of fiction debuts, and I'm a huge fan of paperback originals. So yeah, I mean, I've even been known to like gay fiction. So, you know, it's not doing anything wrong by me. Well, let's see. Let's move on. We've got cardboard next. We'll finish out with cardboard. We don't have any boxes. So the first two are these vacuum-packed things that you have to tear them apart. You have to tear them into confetti, because it's not just a question of getting the book out, it's also that the inside of the package is adhesive. It's not just the sealing that's adhesive, it's the whole inside of the package. So if you just open it enough to get the book out, it'll stick to everything in the world. What have we got here? Oh my. Okay, this also comes out on June 25th. Although I don't know how strict that will be. This is Melanie Johnson, Once Upon a Bad Boy, a sometimes in love novel. Oh, look at the two of them. Oh, I see countryside in the background. What have we got here? Goodness gracious, do I really need this much publicity material for a mass market romance? I don't know that I do. Oh, this is the author's tour dates. Okay, I don't need that. Let's see here. Oh, so the first book of these was Getting Hot with the Scot, which we saw on this channel. The second one was Smitten by the Brit. And then there's this one. This is the third installment in the series, Once Upon a Bad Boy. What happened with the titles? What happened with the titles? Sadie Gold is ready to take her career to the next level with the role of a lifetime. Finally, she can shake her reputation as a pretty face with more wealth and connections than talent. I have the same problem. But Sadie is not prepared for the wild turn her own life is about to take. The man in charge of training Sadie for her most demanding role yet is none other than her first real boyfriend, the one who took her heart and ran away. Bo Ibarra, oh, for Pete's sake. His name is Bo Ibarra. Bo Ibarra is as good-looking and irresistible as ever. Well, I should hope so, with a name like Bo Ibarra. Maybe even more so now that everything once worked against them. Sadie's pampered and privileged upbringing and Bo's childhood in a family struggling to make ends meet is in the past. But the future is still unwritten, and getting there together means coming clean about painful secrets and slashing through nasty tabloid rumors, while trying to control the attraction that crackles between them. Well, I don't understand. What I mean, that sounds really good, but I don't understand why you would get rid of. Why would you get rid of the punny titles? Why would you get rid of the fun titles? Once a bad boy, once upon a bad boy. You can do better than that. Come on. Who is this? St. Martin? St. Martin's paperback. You can do better than that. I mean, honestly, you've had a thing going. The first two titles, Getting Hot with the Scot, Smitten by the Brit. This is about a personal trainer who's wondering if he can rekindle his romance with a movie star who's looking to advance her career. Huh? Say it with me. Going too far with the star. There you go. It's better than Half Gainer with the trainer. So anyway, despite the fact that they dropped the ball on the title, I'm still wanting to read the book. I know. It's very courageous of me. I'm not quite so shallow that a change in title will torpedo my interest in a book. Now, this next package is the same kind of thing. It's one of these flat adhesive things, and I can tell that it's very light, so it could be another romance. Could be. We'll see. Oh, it is. It's another romance. First, we have to tear apart the package. It's a little confetti, because if we don't, it'll stick to Frida. We don't want packages sticking to Frida. But then we're going to get romantic again. See what I mean? Here. Okay, well, never. It doesn't mind. The part of the sell sheet stuck to the inside of the package. That's exactly what I was talking about. That's why I hate them so much. Just pop it in an envelope. I'll be perfectly okay if you pop it in an envelope. Unfortunately, it tore apart some of the description, so I might have to go off the back of the book. This is by Emily March. It is an Eternity Springs novel, The McBrides of Texas, and it's called Jackson. I'm assuming that he is Jackson and not him. So has this featured other people's names? No. Is this the first in a book? Well, let's find out. We have a shattered remnant of the pub sheet that we can look for. Oh no, okay, this is the first in the Eternity Springs series. This is going to be a trilogy, and this is the first book in the series. I imagine they'll all have names for titles. Don't know if they'll all have far more beautiful people on the cover than the model, but let's see. It's an emotional story about two people looking to escape their separate dark past. Carolyn Carruthers thinks she's buried her dreams along with the love of her life. Until, and then it stops. And the pub sheet kicks out. This is due in June. Let's see here. Until a stranger named Celeste dares her to chase her dream all on her own. Moving to Redemption, Texas. Do any towns in Texas not have ironic names? Any of them? Moving to Redemption, Texas is chapter 1 in Caroline's new life story. Sorry, no love. Opening a bookstore is the next. Oh, dearie. You sure want to do that to yourself? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I assure you, a broken heart is not going to be helped by dealing with those a-holes at Ingram. Let's see here. Finding love is the last thing on her mind as she settles into this new place called home. I thought it was called Redemption. Home, Texas is part of another series of romance novels. It's just up the road. But when she meets a handsome, soulful man who's also starting over, all bets are off. Jackson McBride came to redemption looking only to find himself, not someone to love. He did not come to redemption looking for redemption. Ever since his marriage ended, he's been bitter. Sure, he used to believe in love. He even has the old song lyrics to prove it, but the Jackson of today is all business. That is, until a beautiful young widow who's moved into town inspires a change of heart. So I guess we can assume that the guy in the white t-shirt is Jackson. So we do have two romances. Unfortunately, I will put the rag of the pub sheet back in this thing, but pop it in a padded envelope. That's what I say. Anyway, and then we'll finish up with this last one. It's in a cardboard envelope, but it's fairly heavy, so it might be a finished copy of something. Let's take a look. Oh no, it's not a finished copy. It's an advanced copy, and it looks really good. I requested this. This is coming out from the wonderful people at Princeton University Press. This comes out in mid-November. Now, when you think mid-November, you're thinking holidays. And what are you thinking? Which holiday are you thinking? Oh my, this is perfect for that. This is by David Hall, and it is The Puritans, a transatlantic history. This is the first soup to nuts history of the Puritans in probably 35 years. And I think this is probably going to be in every bookstore in the country in mid-November. Let's see here. I want to make sure you have the sexy goatee in view while I read about it. This book is a sweeping transatlantic history of Puritanism from its emergence out of the religious tumult of Elizabethan England to its founding role in the story of America, shedding critical new light on the diverse forms of Puritan belief and practice in England, Scotland, and New England. David Hall provides a multifaceted account of a cultural movement that judged the Protestant reforms of Elizabeth's reign to be unfinished. Hall's vivid and wide-ranging narrative describes the movement's deep, ambiguous triumph under Oliver Cromwell, its political demise with the restoration of the English monarchy in 1660, and its perilous migration across the Atlantic to establish, quote, a perfect reformation in the New World. And I'm not going to prejudge the Puritans for you, but their problem with both Elizabeth, who said that it was not her business to open a window into men's souls, and under Charles, who didn't care. Charles II did not care. Charles I did not care. They cared about money. They cared about personal pleasure, but they did not. In other words, the main underlying problem that the Puritans had with both of those reigns is that they were too tolerant. That should inform your understanding of why they came to the New World, why it was worth that much to them. The standard reductionist line in American history in the last 200 years has been that they came for religious freedom. And that's a little bit incomplete. I'll be interested to see what this author does with it. A breathtaking work of scholarship by an eminent historian, The Puritans examines the tribulations and doctrinal dilemmas that led to the fragmentation and eventual decline of Puritanism. Are there any Puritans in the world today? I don't know. Off the top of my head, suddenly I don't know if there are. It presents a compelling portrait of a religious and political movement that was divided virtually from the start. In England, some wanted to dismantle the Church of England entirely, and others were more cautious, while Puritans in Scotland were divided between those willing to work with a troublesome king and others insisting on the independence of the state church. This monumental book traces how Puritanism was a catalyst for profound cultural changes in the early modern Atlantic world, opening the door for other dissenter groups such as the Baptists and the Quakers, and leaving its enduring mark on what counted as true religion in America. Oh my. Those last few lines. Oh my. If that is the publicist taking their cue from the author, if the author really goes that deep into Puritanism, this is going to be even better than I thought it would be. I would be on for it anyway, naturally, since I've spent a huge amount of time in New England and love it dearly. And New England would be unrecognizable without Puritanism. Even today, even now, the political commentators on all areas of the spectrum will make random, offhand, just assuming comments about the quote-unquote puritanical nature of America, the puritanical psyche of America. Not in the sense of puritanical in the sense of straight-laced and ultra-moralistic, obviously. Obviously not in that sense. Super Bowl Sunday alone. No, obviously not in that sense, but rather in the Manichaean sense. The Puritans took their starched, very stiff, very doctrinaire sense of right and wrong out of the church on Sunday and brought it into every aspect of life. And that kind of on-off switch, Manichaean, black and white thinking, a lot of commentators, many commentators for many years, not just recently, have commented that that they still see that in America. Not just in religion and not just in politics, but all through American life. I've lost count myself of how many times, not so much that as the reverse, of how many times I have gone outside of America, especially to Europe, with Americans, and they immediately start to recognize what's going on, what's different. They start to recognize a more laid-back atmosphere, and some of them don't like it. The Puritanism, the fact that Puritanism is in the American DNA is not an exaggeration. Some of the Americans that I have seen approach that don't like it. They feel that extra permissiveness and they don't like it. It's offending them on a cellular level almost. So a big deep diving history of the Puritans is it's very good news. Again, this is mid-November, so as enthused as I am for the book, I'm not sure that I will get to this right away. I mean, it's half a year between now and then, so I've got a huge number of July books staring me in the face every day now that I'm out in this room. That's the problem with working and writing and filming out on this couch now that it's finally nice outside, is that unlike in my little book room, when I'm out in this room I can see my book. I have a bookcase on the outside of the room that's entirely filled with advance copies, broken down by month. And the top shelf is the upcoming month. It's July. So I'm looking at the mountains of July, and every one of them is squinting at me when I even get tempted by something from November. So I might wait a bit, but even so, this was not a bad mail haul at all. This had several. One of the yardsticks we can use for whether or not a mail haul is a success is how many books are in it make me want to read them right away, even if I can't. And even better if in the number of books that make me want to read them right away, there's a large number that I am going to read right away. That's even better. This is one that I want to read right away, and I will be talking about it again, I'm sure, especially if it's good. I mean, do we know who the author is? Is there any indication in the author's biography that this might not be good, that it's going to stink up the joint? He's a professor emeritus of American religious history at Harvard Divinity School. Okay, all right, that settles that. All right. Okay, he's a professor emeritus of American religious history at Harvard Divinity School, so I think we're in good hands. We'll just leave it at that. I was kind of hoping, in a weird kind of, the way you look at a train wreck, I was kind of hoping that there would be, that he didn't know what he was talking about, that his last book was on roller derby or something like that, but no. All right, so we have the Puritans, which I want to read right away. I won't do it. I'll wait until the early autumn, but I want to read it right away. Unless, of course, I am at your disposal to a certain extent. If a whole lot of you want to know if this is any good, want to know whether or not you should pre-order it, I think the answer to whether or not you want to pre-order it is foreordained, since it's a great subject. It's been a long time since the subject was addressed comprehensively, and the author is, as Mandarin, a subject, an expert on the subject as you could possibly ask for. But unless I need to get to this earlier, I'll probably wait until the autumn. So we have the Puritans. And then we have Emperors of the Deep, a new book on sharks, which is, I believe, out already. I will certainly read it right now. I'm going to read it. I can't get the ergonomics here. Oh, that's not going to work either. How are we going to do this? Here, we'll put that there. So, Emperors of the Deep, I'm going to read right now. The Puritans, I will probably wait a bit. Enough is Enough, I think comes out, didn't we say the autumn? This comes out in October, so I will probably wait on that one. Then, Here's What You Do is a collection of short stories that comes out in July. This comes out soon? Yes? No, June. This comes out in early June. So I'll probably need to get to this right away as well. And then there's the ones that really call to me, and that's the two romances. We got two contemporary romances. Half Gainer with the Trainer and Jackson by Emily March. So the usual amount of bewildering variety that you get on a mail haul on this channel, and some that I want to jump into right away. But a big shark book, I think, probably takes the ribbon this time around. I don't know though. I haven't been all that good. I mean, about this, I always say on video, well, I clearly need to wait. This doesn't come out until the autumn, so I clearly need to wait. And then I'm not always consistent. Sometimes I say that, and then 11:30 at night rolls around, and there's been a book like, what was the last example? There's a big new book coming out in the Susan Sontag book. The Susan Sontag biography that I think I might have even said on camera that as intriguing as it looks, I can't justify reading it so soon. And it was calling to me all that day and all that week, and I did give in. And this Puritans thing, they and I go back a long way, so that might happen. But first, sharks. So I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Book 2.